So just before we get started, for those of you watching the recording, I have 3 super quick announcements before I introduce the lovely Stacey Hall. Our Lift 4 launch group is open. It opened today. The first post is up previewing the program. If you want to join as a challenger or join as a fellow admin and add your prospects into that group, just make sure you reach out and we'll get that all set up. Our Coach Basics for June also begins on Monday, June 4th. So if you need a refresher course or you have new coaches or anything like that that needs to kind of go through the foundational steps of setting up this business, earning your first paycheck, earning back what you invested in your challenge pack, all that fun stuff, we begin on June 4th. It's a 4-week training with lessons just Monday through Friday. So weekends are built in to catch up just in those beginning stages. Lastly, I'm sure you guys know this because everyone is very excited. There will be a sneak peek workout for Lift 4 on Monday on VOD, so make sure you check that out. For your existing customers, make sure they check it out. And for new customers, it's going to be in front of the paywall. So if they sign up for that 2-week free trial, they will be able to test out Lift 4 on Monday with no charge. So that is really exciting. So I'm keeping announcements short so that I can introduce our strategic attraction planning expert. She's a personal accountability professional, a business coach, a best-selling author, a network marketing ace, and a bright shining light on my new friend, Stacey Hall. She's going to take us.
Oh, Becky, thank you. I love that. Network marketing ace. It's like I started out in journalism, actually. That's when I thought I was going to be an investigative reporter, and they used to call us, aces back then. So that takes me all the way back. And it is. Yeah. I met on LinkedIn.
Oh no! Can you guys hear Stacey? Is it my?
Yeah, because No, you can hear me. That's interesting. Let's try. Becky, can you?
You're cutting in and out a bit.
That is because I've got a very stable connection over here, so I can't quite figure out what's going on.
I don't know.
Yeah, this is really weird. Let me double check something at my end. Is it better now?
I can't tell.
Okay. So is it still going in and out?
Less so, but a little bit, yeah.
Because I've got internet connections. I'm used to those of you on the recording. I'm going to step away for just one moment and see what I can do with the box.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, are you guys excited for Lift 4? Because I'm pumped.
So excited.
I can't wait.
I'm so excited. I'm just excited for the flexibility that it will bring to my life, especially after the 2B mindset has just given me freedom.
Yeah. I put in my stories today that one of the reasons I was excited for this workout is because I think Joel is very attractive. It is insanely hilarious how many people reached out to that story and they're like, who's this guy? What's his name?
That is a great idea. Doing that. Yeah. And to see people who have already gotten such good results. I'm like, yeah, I think I can do that.
Yeah. I'm very excited. And to be on a call with him next week is going to be so great.
Yes. I can't believe that. So they moved it from Monday to what day?
Is it Tuesday? Wednesday?
Maybe.
Tuesday. I have it in my phone.
I'm back.
You're back.
And I've shut things down. It should be fine now. Yes?
I can hear you fine, yeah.
Okay, good. So let's take 2. And what I said before wasn't all that important. So it's okay. But Becky and I met on LinkedIn, and she reached out with a connection request, and I looked at her profile and said, yeah, I think there's some things that we can do together. And we started planning on what were the similarities that we both have, because I'm in network marketing as well. I have a large team. I've been in network marketing for 11 years. And it seems that people who go into network marketing will often have very similar challenges at the beginning. And even along the way, there are challenges at the beginning, challenges in the middle, and there are challenges when you have a very large team, because each step along the way requires a new set of skills. So would you all agree with that? Okay. With that said, one of the challenges is knowing that we are enough. Being in a situation where we are presenting ourselves and our product and having people say no to us can be really hard on the ego. Yes or yes? Yeah? Okay. And if we don't get past that block, that's where people will generally say, that's it, network marketing's not for me, I'm not going forward. And that's where I'd like to start it. Tonight, I would also like to talk about how to not compare ourselves with others. Is that a topic that people would like to hear about? All right, and then also in terms of how to position ourselves to be more attractive, meaning how do we get people to appreciate us more and what we do? Because there's often a lot of energy that goes into helping people. They come to us, they ask questions, they seem like they want our help, and then they do nothing, right? Have you ever had that experience and you say, okay, what's going on here? Why am I giving so much of myself away? So those are the three areas that I wanted to talk about tonight. Would that work? Is that what you think you came for? Okay, good. So let's talk first about the I'm enough conversation. And what that requires us to do is to recognize that when we were children, we were in an environment where we were always the child, right? We were always the young one. And we were protected and we were guided, or hopefully we were protected. I know that's not true for everyone, but we were often given a lot of instruction that was supposed to be there to keep us safe. But when we turned 18, something changed. And logically, we know this. But emotionally, most people don't make the shift. They don't align the mental and the emotional aspects. Because when we're 18, doesn't matter if you're in the US or Canada, you are technically now an adult. And to some extent or another, if you went to college, if you got married, if you just went out and got a job, you knew you were an adult because you didn't have to live by your parents' rules anymore. But how do we make that shift from I'm an adult now, I'm not a child, and all the emotions that got built up over those first 18 years of being less than? Does this make sense? So this is what gets in the way. And for women, more so than men, because men in the culture tend to have to grow up faster. But women, and I think this is changing with everything that's going on today, but up until very recently, we were still expected to be more protected, take more of a back seat. So the extension of us as women from childhood into adulthood has really taken much longer. So what I'd like you to do is close your eyes. And you're the only one who can do this for yourself. And that is to start by saying to yourself, I am enough because. I am enough because. And you're going to fill in the blank. And think about all you've been able to accomplish. Every activity you've been able to accomplish. Every goal you've been able to accomplish. Every challenge you've been able to get past in order to be here tonight. So I'm going to be quiet. And I'd like you to say, I am enough because. And just make a whole list. Then take a deep breath. continue to see the list in your mind. And if you would like to open your eyes, you're welcome to do so. And I'm just curious, did anything shift in your energy by making that list? And Becky, your face is, you don't have a poker face, neither do I, so I'm going to call on you first. What did you notice shifted for you as you created your I am enough list?
Well, just physically, I felt like my shoulders went back a little bit and my chest came up and I was breathing differently. It's almost like when you take a big sigh at the end of the day and you feel like, you know, stuff comes off your chest and your shoulders and like, you know what I mean?
I more than you even know. I will speak to that in a moment, but I'd love to hear more about what you experienced.
Well, I just physically felt that shift, like a physical shift, more so than, you know, anything.
Fabulous. Do you feel like you have more energy?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you could conquer something that maybe you didn't feel you could conquer a few minutes ago?
I do. I feel like I would probably be pretty productive after this call.
Absolutely. Well, there's more to come. So, but if you want to go and be productive on that, go do it and come on back. Lindsay, was there something you wanted to share?
I can relate to a lot of what Becky was saying, but I think for me, the emotional change was just like showing myself some more grace because I've been extra stressed recently and feel like there's so much on my plate, and it gave me a second to like recognize what I have done and what I, you know, can do versus like what I have to do.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Leah, anything?
I've just always been really hard on myself in that case. So even just saying the not even the because, but I'm enough, I just felt like calmer and just kind of like Becky and Lindsay in the sense of like just,
Beautiful. And then what you talked about the shoulders, I couldn't have set it up better. Or you couldn't have set it up better for me, because what I was going to say is this is exactly what happens when we recognize how much we already do. And by saying I am enough, because we release the shoulds off our shoulders, it becomes much easier to let those shoulds go and to stop being weighted down, and to be able to meet people in a more equal place rather than, and I'm going to use this word and I'm going to clarify it because we've all been taught to be of service. And I'm going to say rather than just being of service. And there's nothing wrong with being of service, but it can be very debilitating and very tiring if we are not being of service first to people who appreciate what we're offering, and if we don't know where our own boundary is. Okay? And it's impossible to know the boundary if we don't recognize that we are enough already. We've done enough, we are enough, we think enough, we do enough. It's plenty. Now, if I choose to do more, that's up to me. But I don't have to should on myself anymore. And I know many people have heard this term, it's not a new one, but it's those shoulds that lead us into situations that are not good for us and actually make it harder to have a successful business. Because it's not sustainable the more people who come in, and the more people who come in, and the more people who come in, and the more people who come in and expect that you're going to do so much for them. Yes, I see some recognition lights going on. All right, you're going to say, well, then how do we change it? Just stay with me. We're getting there. But I really want to explore a little more about the I am enough. Being able to wake up every morning and saying this to yourself is extremely essential. The first thought you have when you wake up is, I am enough. I am enough. I am enough. And if you're not believing it, that's when you say, okay, and I am enough because. Now, in order to do that, we have to go to sleep appreciating ourselves. so that our subconscious mind is already thinking about all the appreciations, so that when we wake up in the morning, we can believe it. And so I have a practice I like to do at the end of every day, and this is after I kiss my husband to sleep, the dogs are asleep, and now I'm closing my eyes, but I'm not quite yet asleep. I long ago stopped thinking about what I have to do the next day. Because if I'm thinking about that as I'm falling asleep, what happens is my mind is working the whole time I'm sleeping. I'm not really sleeping, I'm working. I wake up exhausted. And I already feel like I've put in a full day's work. Does this make sense? Have you all had that experience? Yeah, Leah's saying yes. Okay, so I don't count sheep and I don't count all the things I have to do the next day. Those are on my calendar. I have a particular way I schedule for success. But when I go to sleep, I go to sleep. And as I go to sleep, my practice is this. Stacey, I appreciate you for, and it's just me talking to me, no one else. My husband doesn't even hear me say it. And I'll say, I appreciate you for getting up in the this morning and doing your morning ritual and getting out of bed empowered. And Stacey, I appreciate you for taking your supplements. And Stacey, I appreciate you making your special herbal tea to keep you energized for a call at 5:30. She says. And Stacey, I appreciate you for doing really good self-care today. You got your hair done and you got your nails done so that you feel pretty and you feel like you pampered yourself because you were going to be working a little bit later today. So taking the time during the afternoon rather than work for other people. So you get the idea, right? I fall asleep saying, Stacey, I appreciate you for, long before I've reached the end of my day. And then my subconscious mind is taking it over. I don't have nightmares anymore. I don't wake up in the middle of the night anymore. I wake up in the morning, I'm refreshed, and I'm happy to get up and go into a day that's going to be full of activity and accomplishment. So let me stop there and ask, are any light bulbs coming on? Did I talk too fast? Do you have questions? Share with me a little bit about what you're thinking and feeling about that.
I love that, just because my current routine is kind of not necessarily the opposite in that I'm saying negative things, but definitely the opposite in that I'll literally sit in bed with my planner and make a list of the next day and go through the list from this day and cross out what was done and move everything that wasn't done to the next page. And it's a mental shift because currently I would say, oh, well, this is productive because now I'll wake up in the morning and I know what I have to do. But you're right. I mean, I complain about being always tired all the time. Leah's laughing because she knows, because we hop on these calls and I'm like, guys, I got to go to bed. Like, I'm tired.
and doing that planning is important. I'm not saying don't do that, but I'm saying now put the planner away when you do, and then as you lay in bed, okay, you closed your eyes, already said goodnight to your hubby, you're on your way to sleep. That's when you're doing it. It's the last thoughts you have is appreciate yourself. Because a lot of people will keep a gratitude journal, they'll do planning. Absolutely, we want to continue those things. But those are more active. This is more internal. It's a meditation, if you will, on which to go to sleep. Leah, you're beaming. But
Yeah, no, I just really like that idea. I often go to bed just stressing over all the crap I have to do the next day, and I wake up exhausted. And so I'm just like, well, I will be trying this tonight because today was hectic and I don't want tomorrow to feel the same way. So I'm very excited to try this.
Very, very cool. I call it, my book is behind me, it's She to Be, and I call this going ape on ourselves, the appreciation perspective experience. So every night I go ape on myself before I fall asleep. Lindsay, was there something you wanted to share?
I love that. I do gratitude journaling, but I do it first thing in the morning. So I love that this will kind of bookend my day to kind of, and to have the subconscious kick in, because I've been waking up a lot recently just in the middle of the night and thinking about, it's probably because I go to bed thinking about what I have to do the next day or what I didn't do the day before. But I do think like one thing I need to address, like in order to get there, is have a system for planning. Like you said, you have your list of what you need to do, or your to-do list and all of that. And so
it's my schedule. I call it my schedule. I don't have a to-do list. I have activities that are going to move me towards my goals, and they're set on a calendar. Yes, that's how I do it.
So if I'm more consistent with that, because that's kind of like my area of improvement, to help me with my stress at night, I think that will be an awesome transition.
I'm making a note of that, because if we decide to go forward with the 5-day challenge, I'll make sure we talk about scheduling for success, which is actually chapter 1 in my book, how to do that. And it's a process that we do within the first 5 days of every month. And when we do that, if we get it done before the first 5 days, then we are in control of our calendar, and the calendar isn't taking control of us. Okay, great. And so then when we wake up and we say, I am enough, our mind actually believes it, because we've just done all this appreciation all through the night. And then something came up, Lindsay, when you were talking about the waking up in the middle of the night. Do you all know about the organ clock, that our organs function on a timetable? Okay, so this is in the fitness world, very important to know this too. So I always I make sure I do, and then anybody who's on my business team, any of my virtual assistants, they know not to be on the computer past 11 o'clock. If they can do what they want, they're personal, but nothing for me, because their energy is not going to be strong. And here's the why. The gallbladder needs us to be asleep, whether you still have a gallbladder or not. The energy of the gallbladder does its work from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m. And it has to do what it does so that the liver can do what it does from 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. So if you fall asleep, but that you're consistently waking up somewhere between the 1 to 3 a.m., that's your liver telling you it's not getting what it needs. And there's emotions connected with each of the organs. And liver holds on to anger, resentment, rage. So think about this. If you go to sleep thinking about activities for the coming day and what just got done, and you're still upset about any of it, that's going to agitate your liver to not be able to do its work. And this might be more than you guys expected me to talk about, but it all fits together, right? Physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual wellness. So making our liver happy by appreciating ourselves, very important. And then the lungs do their work from 3 to 5 a.m. And the lungs hold grief and sadness. So again, we want to let that out. We don't want to be adding more onto it when our lungs are like letting go of all of that. So not stuffing down the feelings while we're still trying to process all the mental activity. And then the stomach, the digestive system, does its work from 5 to 7 a.m. All right, and you can it's called the organ clock or the emotional organ clock, and you can Google that. It's a pretty accepted process for thousands of years in Eastern medicine. So, yes, absolutely.
So what if you're up during those hours? Can it still be doing the work it needs? Like at 5 a.m.? What about people who wake up before 7 a.m.?
Well, for the stomach, yes, 5 to 7 a.m., yes, because the stomach is releasing and digesting. So that's why we talk about drinking water with lemon juice or apple cider vinegar to like get all that acid down. But for the lungs and the liver and the gallbladder, you want to be asleep. Cool. So yes, you can be awake for the digestive process, but not the others. And the digestive process is happening because the other organs have done their dumping into the digestive system. So being awake and doing the things that help to calm the acid, very important. That is good.
Very cool.
And oftentimes people will then sleep through that, and when they wake up, they feel like heavier, right? And they have some digestive issues because they didn't help the stomach to release.
Wow.
Yeah, Becky?
Sorry, I muted myself. I just said, wow, I wrote it down to look more into that because I'm very interested in learning it. I know this is right up Lindsay's alley too, so I feel like she's gonna also be looking into it, and we'll be talking about it soon.
Cool. Wonderful. I love bringing new ideas in, and especially in the world that you all do. And this is something to share with your teams. And this is true for every physical body. And anyway, so much more that we could talk about that. But the reason I chose to start here is if we understand that it's up to us to appreciate ourselves first, and if it's up to us to know that we are enough, and if we're taking good care of ourselves, it will be much easier to stop comparing ourselves to other people. And this is where I want to share a concept that I adapted, two concepts actually, that came to me years ago, and I've been living my life this way all these years, and I've taught them to thousands of people, and they seem to work for them too. So I'm going to say these are pretty good truths. They stand up over the course of time. First, and I'm going to ask each of you this. Becky, what you do with your company, do you feel you were destined to be doing it?
I actually kind of do, yeah.
Okay. Lindsay, have you ever felt destined, like what you're doing, you were destined to do this?
Currently, yes.
Okay, good. And Leah, how about you?
So if you asked me this like 3 years ago, I would have said no, but as of right now, absolutely yes.
Okay, and that's why you're all here on this live call, because you really feel the calling of the destiny. Okay, so let's think about this. If we were destined to be serving people in the way we're doing it, doesn't it make sense that there are people who are destined to be served by me or by you, but not both? If you're in the same business, does this make sense? Okay. That's why I don't believe in competition. That's first and foremost. I believe in collaboration. If two people are doing exactly the same thing in the exact same way, and they really believe they were destined to serve the same people, then collaborate. But that doesn't necessarily mean all members on the same team are supposed to collaborate. Each person is unique. And so that's what makes it for me a little funny when people say that they're jealous or envious of other people. Okay, we could say, I would love for business to look like that for me. I've said that. I would love it if it worked that way for me. And it's not going to work that way for me in the way it works for them. They have a particular destiny to fulfill. I have a particular destiny to fulfill. So let's start there before I give you my second concept, which will take a little longer to explain. But anybody thoughts? Was that an aha? Does it make sense? Not make sense?
I think it definitely makes sense. I think it's something that everybody knows. Not meaning that they always know it, but like in the back of their minds, we know this. And especially in network marketing for a large, successful company, we are told like it's not overly saturated, because someone who's going to work with Lindsay might not be the right person to work with me, and what Leah brings to the table is not the same as what I bring to the table. So I think that's something that we're at least taught, but whether or not we believe it is the issue.
And it's because it can't come from here. It can't be an analytical thought process. The mind doesn't understand it. It has to be in here. It has to be gut intuition. Because we all know when someone comes in, let me give you an example. I'm listed on Google, and people will often also, by the way, I'm in Las Vegas. So there's a lot of people who come into Las Vegas who are familiar with my products, probably already have their own membership. They forget their products when they come to Las Vegas. I get a phone call, right? I can tell the minute the person says hello, before they ever say anything, my gut intuition kicks in. And sure enough, they'll ask for a particular item, and I'll go, do you already have an account with the company? Oh, yes. Okay, and then inevitably, they want me to sell it to them at a wholesale price, and they don't have a car because they're down on the strip, and they think everybody just lives on the strip, and I'm 45 minutes away. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, they're not somebody I'm destined to serve. I can feel it in my body. So can you. How do you deal with those people has to do with how clear are you right from the start with who you're supposed to serve. What do they look like? How old are they in general? What kinds of things do they want? Because if you attempt to somebody out of desperation or out of misguided, I'm just going to be of service, that you're not, it will be a miserable experience. Has anyone had that experience? Detachment is really important. Now let's go to the second phase of this. The concept of business or a goal or a project, it will always go from seeding to sprouting to blooming, and sometimes investing. Does this make sense?
Wait, you're cutting out again.
Let's see. Is it better?
I think so.
Okay, I have not, because at my end everything looks great, so I'm not sure what's happening in the transmission. But you can see me okay now? All right, let's keep going. I'll just dance around my room. Keep on moving. Okay, so any project is going to go from a seeding stage, putting seeds into the ground, a sprouting stage, and then a blooming stage. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And eventually the bloom and the harvest will end, and it'll go into resting so it can be nurtured to start again. Yes? Okay. So if we look at someone else, so there's the concept of not serving the same people, yes. But here's an even larger concept. We don't know how long the person was seeding and sprouting before they got their bloom. And so for somebody who's just starting out, who's got those seeds to put in the ground and to nurture and to water and to care for, and has never had a bloom before from those same seeds, to compare ourselves to somebody who's having a full bloom is really silly. And it negates the concept of I am enough. So what I always say is if you see somebody who's having the kind of harvest you want to have, and yes, I'm going to use this metaphor all the way through because it is the way nature works, and we are organic beings. We may not always eat organic, but we are organic, okay? If you see somebody, don't be envious of them. Don't be jealous. Don't make yourself less than. Go talk to them because they've got a green thumb. Now, not everybody with a green thumb is willing to share their planting tips, their gardening tips, but a lot of people are. Those are the people to seek out and say, this is the stage I'm in. When you were in this stage, what did you do? What would you not do again? Like, what didn't work? What wound up working? Because you're the one who did all the trial and errors, and could you save me a lot of time and energy? Now, considering, of course, that their way of doing things might be completely different than yours, so that's why it's important to ask a lot of different people who have gardening tips, so that you can then take them in and figure out which ones feel comfortable for you to do. So that's a lot of talking. I was doing my best to get in before my internet goes again. So let me stop there before I go further. Is this like turning on light bulbs at all? Yeah, anything more you want me to know?
I mean, for me personally, it would be like me watching Becky's business grow, whereas I'm just starting, so it's that different spot. But like trying not to compare myself to her business because we're completely like attracting different people kind of thing.
Different people, different stage, but going to Becky and saying, when you were in this stage, what were the things you discovered worked and what things would be wasting time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like that's going for gardening tips. And too often people will not do that. They'll make themselves feel less than first. So they'll say, oh, she would never want to talk to me. When I wrote my first book, I had clients wanting a book. I did not want to write a book. I was really a very reluctant author because writing for me is a very personal, private experience. Takes me some, time to block everything else out. I can't write and multitask. And I was leading a lot of workshops at the time, and I didn't see how I was going to be able to block out the time to do that. And God created it to happen. But I'm going to tell you that as I knew that I was going to be an author, I started seeking out people who were best-selling authors. I went to conferences where they were. I mean, that's how I met Jack Canfield and many others who very big authors at the time. I went where they knew they were going to be giving out gardening tips. And I would go up to them at those conferences and ask questions so that I had an understanding of what to expect, what not to expect. And I would take that information back and then I'd figure out how I wanted to do it, what kind of agent I wanted, and what kind of publisher I wanted. And it was a proactive. Yes, Becky.
I really love what you just said, and I want to just point out the point where Stacey said talk to them. Talking to someone is very different than looking at their social media. That's what the thing is that there will be a lot of people that maybe don't have the time to just have a casual conversation. As your upline, it's a different situation, but we have a huge, massive organization of very successful people. So just figure out a way to, maybe they have a schedule that you can schedule a call with them or send an email or something. But what you see on social media, we all know that's like a highlight reel. So look at what people posts, and just copying those types of posts won't work. There's a method behind if they're successful, there's a strategy behind what they're doing. So just everyone who's watching the recording or live or whatever, just like the talking to someone, I think is really the key here, not just watching, because you will never get the full picture that way. And I just think that was like the biggest part of your point that hit me anyway. And I just feel like it would impact a lot of other people too.
Well, beautiful. Yes. And Becky, thank you for really pulling that out. It was the talking, because I can hear what they have to say and then to apply it, and then asking them to explain so that I can put it in perspective for me. Lindsay, Leah, anything about what Becky just shared that you want to respond to, or?
No, I have a lot of thoughts going on in my head, but but one thing that was kind of like a light bulb moment for me was you can admire and love what somebody is doing, another coach, if they're in the blooming stage and you're not there yet. You can love it without being like an identical type of brand, you can still admire what they're doing even if they're so different from you, because we can recognize that systems work even if you're not the same avatar, even if you're not looking for the same type of person.
Yes.
It can work, and we all have our own gifts to apply, gifts to bring to the table. And it's just a really cool thing when you can let down any guards and just tell somebody, like, I admire you for this reason. Like, can you share a little bit about what you do behind the scenes? It's a cool abundance concept.
Right. And then actually knowing the stage, like for you to know the stage you're in. So they're blooming, or they've had a bloom and maybe they're in between blooms. But if you haven't gotten that bloom yet, where it's exactly the way you want it to be, you're just, and just remember in the sprouting stage, sprouting doesn't always lead to a bloom. If you think about a rose bush, right, there's a lot of, it looked like the bud's going to open, and it just doesn't. Because it doesn't have enough oomph. It doesn't have enough rose food, or it didn't get enough sun or enough water. So I'm using this metaphor very deliberately because it's the same with growing our business and any one of the projects. So if you're holding events, and you've never had a huge successful event, go find somebody who has and figure out what is the planning system, as you said, Lindsay. Okay, how did they plan to have a big event? Did they ever have a bad event? And if they had a bad event, that's the one you want to hear about. What did they not do that they now do because they learned from that bad event? Everyone, doesn't matter how perfect. It's interesting. I'm about to see somebody who I want to get gardening tips from. In about 2 weeks, I'm going to my convention because I had in my head this person who's extremely more successful than I am in my business, or is larger team, let me put it that way. And I thought that she came from a different type of family background than I did. And I was attributing that because she's very gregarious and very vivacious and very charismatic. And I heard her speak 2 days ago, and she actually alluded to the fact that she probably had a kind of different family upbringing than I did, but not in the good way. So I now want to go ask, so how did you overcome that to be able to do this? Because it just, mind expansion. Don't make assumptions, Stacey. Right? And the only way you can learn these things is by, as Becky said, go talk to them.
I think, sorry.
No, please, it's your turn.
I was just going to say, I think that's there's a purpose behind a lot of the pain that we go through. And for me personally, I've been through a really trying season, but I see it as a way, I just look for the ways to help people if they're going through something similar, or they're going through something that I can relate to, or they can relate to. I can just help them in that way. So I think there's a lot of people out there that see that that test as a way to help other people, and we can it's a gift for us to give them that opportunity to do it.
It really is. And what you're talking about, again, keeping the gardening thing going, pruning back. Some people self-prune. We don't want to self-prune. We don't need to, break off our own branches, if you will, through mental blocks and fears and all of that. But there is a strengthening process that comes with things not happening the way we want them. If they just happened so easily, we wouldn't learn from them. So as much as I would love it to be that way, it's just usually doesn't happen that way. But in the strengthening process, we gain knowledge and wisdom and the ability to understand people better. And then little by little, we become more attractive, which is where I wanted to have us end up this evening is, what does it mean to be attractive? Well, I'm going to take us full circle back to when you go to sleep tonight. Acknowledging and appreciating yourself. Because energetically, and I'm going to make the assumption here based on the fact that Becky and I talked about it, that everybody, at least if you don't know how the law of attraction works, you've heard of it and you can accept it. It's an energetic quantum physics principle. It's not a woo-woo principle. It actually, everything has energy, and the way our universe forms is through the law of attraction. Different elements are attracted to different elements. We can't expect people to want to be on our team. And I say it again, we cannot expect people to want to be on our team if we wouldn't want to be on our team. And that's kind of a duh, Stacey, and it's not a duh, because when I'm working with my clients and I say, what do you say to yourself all throughout the day? All throughout the day. Do you say, I am prosperous? Do you say, I'm fun to be with? Do you say, I am enjoying everything I'm doing right now? Do you say, I'm playing, exploring, and discovering all throughout my day? And they'll say, no. Probably should, right? And I'll say, well, no, don't shit on yourself. We don't want to put any more shoulds on our shoulders. But what are you saying? And I'm not going to call anybody out here, but I can tell you that what they say usually is, that was stupid, right? If they did something, that was stupid. Why did they do that? Why did they put themselves in that situation? There's a lot of whys. Why this? Why that? When? Their whens are going to be, when is this going to be over? Is this making sense? And by the end of the day, they're exhausted because they have just put a whole bunch of blocks right here and in here. They don't want to think those thoughts anymore. It shows on their face. Okay? How many of you have ever seen somebody who's promoting health and wellness and they do not look healthy or well? All the time. And I'm not talking about people who are thin. Okay, I happen to know somebody who's very, very successful. Actually, I know quite a few people. And you would not say that they look healthy because they appear to be overweight. But what comes from them is such enthusiasm, such energy, such joy. And it's authentic because they love themselves. They appreciate themselves. They are in love with what they do. And it comes out of every cell in their body. And Vicki, I know we're coming to the end here, but I wanted to come back and say, if you're not truly appreciating all that you're doing, if you're not saying to yourself, I am enough, if you are not saying, I am prosperous, and no but, like not, I'm prosperous, but my bank account doesn't show it, cancel that. No, just, I am prosperous. I am enjoying being around the people that are in my life, whether or not it's true right now. Helping your mind to be able to envision. Imagination's a very powerful tool. We can imagine life continuing in a way that we don't enjoy, or we can imagine life proceeding, becoming the life that we want to live. And that's the difference between a success and somebody who's been working the business, whether it's for 1 minute or 11 years, who's not successful. That's the common denominator. What are they imagining? So, Mickey, I'm going to bring it back to you. I know we have something to offer, and I wanted to see before we go there if there was anything you wanted to say to the group before I close off.
Well, I mainly want to say thank you so much for coming on here with us tonight. I have been really looking forward to this since the last time we spoke, and sharing about it a lot. So I think other people can attest to how excited I was about it. But I just really appreciate your time, and all of this was gold. I mean, it was better than I knew it would be. So I just really appreciate you being here with us.
Well, I appreciate that very much. And if I may, is there one thing that you're going to take away that was most valuable for you, Becky? And then I'm going to ask Lindsay and Leah as well.
For me, it was, all of it was very valuable. I have a ton of notes typed up here, but I just really loved, one, the nighttime activity before bed. That is something I'm really looking forward to doing. But also just the idea of like emitting joy and energy and like being silly and happy and sharing that stuff. I feel like where I have really held myself back is like holding back some of that like quirkiness and silliness, and equipping it to like being embarrassed about it. But I'm like a weirdo, so that is something that I should be really putting out there. And that's a big part of working with the right people, right? I mean, is really sharing who you are authentically. And there's always been a part of me that has held back certain aspects of my life because of certain expectations that no one actually put on me, but I put on me for them. And so this was just such a perfect reminder that that is ridiculous and not helpful. So I'm just excited to be weird all the time and love it, and
Yay.
be happy about it.
Yeah, exactly, because the people who feel the same way are going to come right to you. They're going to go, there she is. She's one of me.
Yeah.
That's what I want. Absolutely. Leah, what was most valuable for you?
Well, everything that Becky said was exactly. I am also a weirdo, so I agree with that. But just, I really find that sometimes you just need that extra reminder of like, hey, you are enough. And so I really appreciated like everything you were saying, and just like that extra reminder to be nicer to myself and to appreciate everything that I do for myself and for the other people in my life. And so just having those extra thoughts of, hey, before I go to bed, I'm going to tell myself what I appreciate. And then when I wake up, I'm enough kind of thing. And just the positive thoughts are so powerful.
They are. Imagination is. And Lindsay, and then afterwards I'll take a look. I know people are chatting in the chat box. Without my glasses, I can't see it. So.
We're just talking about how we can be weirdos together.
Oh, good. Marvelous.
You. I had so many takeaways. I love the entire analogy of the garden and all the stages, and then like looking for the people with the green thumb and asking for gardening tips. That is a really cool image for me. But my favorite piece that I'm going to really take away is the nighttime. And I've been struggling with sleep a lot, and then a lot of this like organ stuff. So I'm really excited to dive into the organ clock and end each day the way that I begin it, and see how that helps with my sleep. So I just appreciate everything.
Oh, good. I'm so glad it was of value, because, an hour for you guys, it's later. So I understood that you were really making an effort to be here with me, and I truly wanted it to be of value. All right. So the first is, and the reason I grabbed the book is because it's easier for you to see how I spell it. So I have free stress-free living tips. A lot of what I shared tonight comes from my blog, my stress-free living tips, and it's free. If you go to chi2b.com, no exclamation point here at the end, just chi2b, and chi, of course, just means energy. So in the book, I talk about how to schedule for success. I talk more about how to prepare to be in the seeding stage, how to prepare to be in the sprouting, how to prepare to be in the blooming, because everyone needs preparation, because you don't want to be preparing when you're already in the stage. I talk more about appreciation of yourself, and then how to appreciate your team members. I talk about a 5-step process to always know what to do in any given situation. Like if you have to make a choice, I call it the solution process. 5 questions you ask yourself real quick. You will always know the right answer to every choice to go forward. So, and much more in the book. So I just wanted to let you know, if you go to the website, you can find out about it, but you can also get my free stress-free living tips. I send one out every week. And if you're on Facebook, then I have a group where I do a little more on there. It's called Positive Solutions for a Great Life. But what I wanted to share, Becky and I thought that there might be some folks who wanted to go a little deeper with me. And in order to do this, we would need 10 people. Just want to say so. And I'm looking at my screen because I didn't memorize it. And I want to make sure I offer it appropriately. So if we were to do this, it would be the 3 of you plus 7 more. And it's called a 5-day Prosperity Secrets Challenge. So during the week of June 4th, or we could do it later in the year, whichever you prefer. Becky thought y'all might want to get moving because I don't know if you know, but the best time to put seeds in is July and August to prepare for a huge harvest in the fall. So most people take the summer off, and then they're working really hard during the holidays because they didn't get what they needed. And I like to be able to have my harvest right before Thanksgiving, the way it was intended in the energetics, and then be able to have my holiday season to just relax and have fun. So if that's something that appeals to you, then we would want to get started sooner than later. And each participant during these 5 days is going to identify who they are as an expert, not just your avatar, but who are you as a sought after expert. We're going to get you positioned as an expert. And then from there, you're going to create your very personalized avatar, very personalized. And then we're going to help you get really established on social media. So figuring out which one of the social media tools is the best for you as an expert and getting that set up. And I have a lot of different webinars to share with you and lots of other bonuses as well. And I'm going to charge a whole lot of money for this. So just be prepared. I mean, hold on, fasten your seatbelt. I already showed you how good I am when you get me for free. So only imagine what it's going to cost you to get more of me. It's $27. That's it. 5 days, $27 US. Now, Leah, I know in Canada that's going to be a little bit more. But I said if we get 10 people, that would be worth it to me to be able to work with each of you. And so each of those days, we're going to focus in. And you're going to, it's a challenge because you're going to have to do some work on your own in the next 24 hours before we have the next call. But by the end of those 5 days, you will know who you are meant to be serving, what you're supposed to be saying to them, and where. And that's what I call the Prosperity Secrets Challenge.
Sounds amazing.
Well, good. So is that a yes from you? Are you expecting that? Yes?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. Well, Becky's going to handle the organization of all of that. She'll get back in touch with me. It would be a joy. I look forward to it. In the meantime, if you want to know more about me, just go to the website, cheetahbee.com. Lots of free stuff there before you ever have to buy the book. You never have to buy the book. But why wouldn't you buy the book? It is on Amazon. All right, Becky, back over to you.
Well, again, thank you so much. I'm super, super excited for the challenge. I mean, like she said, look what she gave us for free. And so for this whopping $27, I think we're going to get a ton of really amazing content. And the June 4th start date was favored by me specifically because it's a really, I just think what an amazing way to head into summit season, feeling prosperous and energetic and really knowing who we are and what we bring to the table. And then bring that energy to summit, get more energy from there, and just like have the most amazing summer ever. So I'm really excited. Stacey, I will be in touch with you this weekend for sure. And just thank you so, so, so much. This was amazing.
Truly the honor, and I say this from the bottom of my heart, the energy that each of you has brought was so much fun because these are my favorite topics to talk about. And when I see people smiling as a result of talking about them, I know I was here to be of service, destined to be of service, and you were destined to hear this tonight. So thank you. It was a huge, huge blessing.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good night, guys.
Good night.